I would love to study the Bible and pray and not sin very much, like 12 hours a day. That would be like so cool to me. But I don't have the strength to do that at this point. I don't have the strength on the inside to do that. The resolve, I get tired, I get weak, I get bored. So that's a weakness. And then I have another weakness. I sometimes don't have 100% clarity about my life. Anybody else in there? I don't have 100% clarity about my life. I'm doing what I think God has me to do right now. I don't 100% know what God has for my whole life. So there's confusion at different times. I get discouraged at different times. Every day, for some amount of time, I'm discouraged. I'm getting victory over that. It's not like hours a day, but there's thoughts that come to me, and sometimes I let those thoughts stay there for an hour of just, this, and this isn't working. That's not going to work. That person doesn't like me. Okay, get out of that. So, for some amount of time, it might be minutes or it might be an hour or something, or just fleeting thoughts. I get discouraged, and I'm leading a prayer ministry, and a number of times through the day I'm thinking, does prayer even work? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's a weakness. There's lots of times where I'm thinking, prayer works, but there's lots of times where I'm thinking, is this really working? So I have weaknesses there. Then I sin, not very often, because I can't preach if I'm sinning. That's a joke too. But I just sin. There's things I don't even know I'm doing day by day. And there's things I know I'm doing. And so that's a weakness. That's a real one. And it is real. I have to be sober about that. But in our weaknesses, in our sin issues, in our just life is difficult and sometimes confusing weaknesses, and in our lack of devotion, what we think we should do in our devotion to Jesus, He is gentle and tender towards us, meaning He enjoys us in that process. You might have a serious addiction of some kind, and I've had serious addictions in my life. Might have serious addictions, or you might know that you have thoughts that come to you, or you might look at things on screens like, I know that is wrong, and I don't like it, and I know God doesn't like it, and I don't want to do it, but I'm still doing it. Or whatever the issue is. In those processes of life, God enjoys us. God enjoys you. If you can only read the Bible 30 minutes a day or 15, or you don't even know where the Psalms are, God enjoys you. God enjoys me in that process. And He's not waiting for you to attain some kind of high level of maturity before He starts loving you and enjoying you. I used to think this years ago. I never would have said it, but I felt it on the inside, and I was living out of that place. I was thinking on the inside, you know what? When I get victory over these 3 areas of sin, when I can read the Bible as much as that one person that I really like, when those things are in place, I think that God will really, really enjoy me. He loves me, but does He like the daily interactions? Or is it day by day He's a little bit discouraged by those areas? Is He a little bit turning His face because of the thing that I stumbled in that day? Is He a little bit distant because He's thinking, hey, you have to seek me longer. I'm not going to come as close to you because you're not praying that much. So I was thinking, you know what? Maybe 10 or 15 years down the road, I will have conquered those areas. And then Jesus will really enjoy me. He'll really like our interactions. And I'll feel 100% free before Him. That's what I was thinking. And then someone really challenged me with their Bible teaching. I thought about this and read the Bible. I was like, probably I would never feel that way. I see more of my sin issues now than I did at that time. I see more of my weaknesses than I did 10 years ago. That's how it's going to be. We see more and more stuff. And we have to know that Jesus enjoys us in the process. Because if we don't think He enjoys us right now, today, with a sincere heart before Him, if we don't think that He enjoys us, here's what we're going to do. Jesus, would you do this in my life? And we kind of turn our face a little bit because we know He's angry a little bit. And we don't want to come to Him and ask Him for help. Jesus, help me out of that addiction. Why? Because He's discouraged. And He's not going to answer me. Okay, Lord, I'm going to fast 3 days and then I'm going to ask you. Or, I know some of you do this because I have done this and do this. Okay, I just looked at that image on the computer. Okay, in God's economy, I probably need to not pray for like 2 or 3 days until I feel clean, until I've kind of made my penance, right? Are you laughing because you've done this? We kind of stay away from him a little bit. God, I'm really sorry. Let me show you how sorry I am. Okay, 3 days later, yeah, I think I kind of paid my penance. I think I kind of showed him how sorry I was for that sin. You know what that does? One, it's pride, because you're breaking out of your addiction by yourself. You're not asking for help. So you're doing it in your own strength. And Jesus wants to break your addiction for you in his strength. Yes. Number two, it causes us to have a works-based system. Yes. Right? So I said at the beginning that we came to Jesus at the cross, and probably most of us in this room had a sincere conversion where we said, Jesus, I know I have nothing. Please take all my sins. I need your mercy. Give me everything. Oh, hallelujah. And probably for a season you were really joyful because you knew that you gave him all the bad stuff. And even though you gave him all the bad stuff, he loved you so much. Usually a believer's first season is really joyful because it's a free exchange. So merciful. Thank you, God. I deserve nothing and you gave me everything. What happens then is that the next season we go back to our works-based system and go, God, let me show you how dedicated I am. Does that make sense? And when you do that, you're cutting off the life source. Jesus, in a drug addictions and pornography addictions, you might be abusing someone, or your speech, or whatever God is highlighting. Or maybe your past. You had something in your past that you're not active in now. Those are the most serious issues in a believer's life. Those are the most serious things that shut your life down. And I know this for sure, that there's believers that live their whole lives with their face turned a little bit towards God. And almost 100% of their interaction with God are their faces turned, and they think that God's face is turned just a little bit. Because there's shame there. There's shame there. And the thing that breaks off shame is knowing that God enjoys us in this process. And what happens is that shame shuts us down. And shame is the regular feeling. You might not verbalize it, but shame is the regular feeling on the inside that I'm not quite doing enough for God, and I haven't attained enough victory over sin to be fully accepted in his presence and for him to smile at me. There's no way God could be smiling at me right now, because I just said that to my friend or my spouse. I just looked at that image. I just did that thing. Or that thing in my past is so bad. How could God smile on my life? That's injustice. Just remember, when you came to Jesus, that blood washed you. His blood is more powerful than your deepest sin. I know, most people, we have secret sins. And secret sins they're not always huge. But sometimes we have huge secret sins we just can't say to anybody. Maybe you did something years ago, you're like, I could never tell anybody that. Guess what? You can. You can tell a person that, and you can tell Jesus that, and you can have confidence because of the Bible that his blood washed, and you can say, Jesus, you're smiling at me, and the things I'm doing are the things I did in my past. Your blood, all about you, your blood was enough. And why did he spill his blood on the cross? Because God so loved the world. Back to that Ephesians 5 passage. Jesus so loved you in your brokenness. Some of us were his enemies, like literally. I was his enemy for a season, like verbally. We are his enemies against him. And he goes, I'm going to get you. I'm so merciful. Jesus, I hate you. Why did that happen in my life? I'm going to do everything that you say not to do in the Bible. I'm going to get you. I'm going to pursue you. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to hedge you in. And in one moment, I'm going to make you give your life to me. Or I'm going to give you the huge opportunity at least. Jesus, when we're his enemy, shooting at him and shooting at his people, like a warfare analogy, he is pursuing us. You did not give your life to Jesus because of your dedication, because of your revelation. Jesus was pursuing you so hard to get you to follow him. And guess what? That hasn't changed. Jesus is pursuing you so much. Right now, there's angels in this room that he sent here to minister to you because he wants your heart so awakened in love. So here's where I'm ending, is with the topic of shame. Any feelings on the inside of us going, he's not smiling at me. If we can't picture that and feel that and on the deepest places of our hearts, there is an issue of shame. And I think there's a little bit of that for every believer to some degree that we're working through. That when we sing and pray and worship, He's not fully smiling at our life. That is poison to your spiritual life. Have to go after that. Have to meditate on the Bible truths to renew our emotions, renew our minds on this. Have to be so serious about this. Because shame is poison to your spiritual life. And this is what most people live with. I know I have measures of shame in my life, and He's removing it bit by bit. So I want you to just think back with me to Genesis 1, 2, and 3. And this is where I'm ending, but I want you to stay with me, because this is what God wanted me to speak this morning, was breaking off shame, and to know that He enjoys us in our processes. In Genesis 1, 2, and 3, God makes creation. How many days did it take? 6. Then He rested for a day. Had coffee. 6 days. And when did He make humans? When did He make Adam and Eve? Which day was it? Day 6, yep. So for 5 days, however this worked, there was nothing in the universe. Okay? And then day 1, I don't have it memorized, but day 1, He makes the sun and the moon and 100 billion galaxies. Something like that. So He's starting off with this huge expanse. Billions of galaxies, billions of stars. He knows them all by name. Jesus, look at this. The Father and Jesus. This was an encounter that changed my life. This is what I'm sharing this picture with you. So then day 2, He makes plants and animals and fish and birds, and they're filling the earth. Day 3, He makes more creatures. Day 4, He's setting more things in the galaxies and the universe. And day 5, He's setting the last things in place because He knows the next day humans are coming. Do you know that you're more important to Jesus than the plants? You're more important to Jesus than the dog that you have at your house. Just making that clear. Okay, so He sets all of creation in place. And I think, because I know Jesus' heart, that for 5 days, and longer, but for 5 days, He was burning on the inside, waiting to make Adam. Jesus, I think, was dancing and rejoicing, waiting to make Adam and to make Eve, because humans were to be the only creation that had His image, which means His image bearers, which means they're the only ones that could have deep friendship with God. Humans are the only creatures in all of creation that can have deep relationship with God, deep friendship on the inside. And Jesus, if He really is a husband, if He really is a bridegroom that's passionate, if God really made you for relationship with Himself, intimacy with Himself, if that's really true, then Jesus was thinking about you and thinking about Adam and Eve for 5 days at least with intense desire. Father, 4 more days. Father, 3 more days. Father, 2 more days. Father, 1 more day. I don't think Jesus slept that night. I seriously don't. I know they don't sleep, but I don't think He slept that night. And Proverbs 8 really gives us the only glimpse. Proverbs 8:32, a couple verses around there. It says that Jesus was daily rejoicing next to His Father. In the creation story. Making all the galaxies, all that kind of stuff. He was daily rejoicing. He was the Father's delight. They were just loving each other. And Jesus was daily rejoicing in creation. And then last, Jesus was rejoicing and delighting in the sons of men. So the creation story was this. So then, boom, at day 6, Adam and Eve were created, right? Here's what I want you, here's the challenge for today as you leave. And here's your litmus test. Here's how you know if there's some issue of shame in your heart. Let's pretend that you were Adam, okay? You were Adam, and you know that Adam was born as an adult. He wasn't born as a little baby. Or he was old enough anyway to interact. So Adam, in 1 second, just formed. It's only creation that says that God actually used His hands and formed him. And then it says that God breathed His life into Adam, the only creation that He did that with. Okay, so then, in 1 second, Adam is like dirt being formed up. And then the next second, his eyes are opened. The first eyes to be opened ever in eternity of a human. And Jesus was right in front of him because he